Day's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. Mini reviews. Greetings, my fellow YouTubers. I'm Doyle, the Big D to you. This is Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews, back again with another mini reviews vid. Now, I had intended to do these separately, but I've changed my mind. I'm going to put 3 reviews together in one vid. I've done it before. I'll do it again. Now, this will include one recent theatrical film and 2 new films that recently came to Netflix this past month. One just more recently. Anyway, these films I thought were fine and what have you, but they did have a little bit weren't quite like I anticipated, but I still gave them pretty fair scores and what have you. And I'll give it to you by order of their release. If you're ready, let's get this show started. Here's me review number 1. First up is Monkey Man, a recent hit for Universal. Directed by and starring Dev Patel, who also co-wrote the screenplay from a story he wrote. And this is actually Patel's directorial debut. He plays the title character this along with Charlton Copley, who you may know from District 9 in the 18 movie, and others. This came out earlier this year in March at the South by Southwest Festival in March, and recently came to theaters in April of this year. The film is currently now available on physical well, hang on. Yeah, it, the film should be coming out on physical media soon, but is now currently available to stream on Peacock. Well, it starts out with just an aptly named title character whose name is actually Kid. He lives with his mother Neela in a forest village in India, and well, is inspired by her tales of Hanuman. But anyway, a ruthless spiritual guru in the nearby city of Yatana sends Rana Singh, the corrupt police chief, to evict the villagers and quiet their land. The village is massacred, but Neela is able to hide Kid before she is raped and killed by Rana, who sets her body on fire. And Kid's futile attempts to save her leave his hands burned and scarred. Years later, he works as a heel and jobber at an underground fight club known as Tiger's Temple, wearing a monkey mask. He's determined to exact revenge on Rana, who frequents King's, a luxury brothel and cocaine den disguised as a social club. He infiltrates it through an elaborate ruse to meet the manager and pimp, Queenie Kapoor, and persuade her to give him a job as a menial kitchen worker. Then he befriends Alfonso, a gangster working for Queenie, who rigs about at Tiger's Temple in Alfonso's favor, making him money and is promoted to waiter in exchange. Well, and soon he manages to get out. But that's all of the story I'm going to tell you because these are going to be spoiler free, so I'm going to try and go quick on these stories. My thoughts on this film, this turned out to be some of it turned out to be a little different than I thought. I figured this would have a little more action because some have compared this to the John Wick films. Well, factually, it sort of does. But anyway, the film has an 89% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, saying it's an audacious effort from debut and director Dev Patel. The film dispenses action and socio-political commentary with equal aplomb. And CinemaScore gave it a B+, while Metacritic has it a score of 70. The Globe and Mail described the film as solid and blockbuster audience friendly, but that its woozy over-editing makes the theatrical experience tiring. Yeah, it is, in a way. It's kind of slow at first, but then picks up the pace later on. But anyway, this film didn't quite do too well, but it didn't bomb though. The film still did fine, making $34 million worldwide against its $10 million budget. Overall, I will say that Monkey Man is a pretty good movie. Just wasn't what I was hoping for some part and what have you. There is some slowdown and what have you, but nevertheless, I found Monkey Man to be pretty good in ways. So for my score, I give Monkey Man 4 stars On a scale of 1 to 10, I give it an 8. Next main review, number 2. Next up is Hitman, which recently premiered on Netflix earlier this month, after it had recently premiered in Venice at the Venice International Film Festival last September and got a limited theatrical release back last month. And this was directed by Richard Linklater, who, of course, I know best for directing films like Dazed and Confused and The School of Rock. He also co-wrote the screenplay with its star Glenn Powell, who of course recently appeared in Anyone But You. This is based on the 2001 Texas Monthly Magazine article by Skip Hollandsworth. Anyway, it follows an undercover New Orleans police contractor who poses as a reliable hitman as he tries to save a woman in need. This film had gotten a lot of good reviews and what have you. It focuses on Gary Johnson, a professor of psychology and philosophy at the University of New Orleans, while also working undercover with the New Orleans Police Department to assist in undercover sting operations. When Jasper, a fellow cop who portrays fake hitmen to solicit murder for hire confessions and payments from the suspects, is suspended, Gary is unwillingly ushered into the role. So, he apparently goes into it, especially once he meets this hot gal named Madison. Turned out to be a real hot one. But that's all the story I'm going to give to you. Now, most of the cast, I'm mostly not too familiar with all of them, except for Glenn Powell. And I must admit, he does an exceptionally good job in playing the titular character, who is really Gary Johnson. Since its release, the film currently sits at 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, saying it's a deceptively dark thriller that's also loaded with laughs. Well, it kind of provided some laughs, but not as much as I hoped for, and not as much. Kind of didn't have too much cool action, what have you. I mean, now this consider a romantic black comedy, though. But anywho, I still found it to be pretty good in some ways. Well, it didn't quite come close to my liking of his performance in Anyone But You, but Glenn Powell definitely stood out in this one. It's an outstanding showcase for Powell and one of the most purely entertaining films of Richard Linklater's career. Metacritic gave this a score of 82 out of 100. Now, Ty Burr, at writing for the Washington Post, said it's a blast of pure pleasure and one of the year's best films. Alyssa Wilkinson of the New York Times described the film as romantic, sexy, hilarious, satisfying, and a genuine star-clinching turn for Glenn Powell. Yes, definitely, yeah. But it's just that it could have used a few more laughs and what have you, some more funny bits, and a little more thrills and what have you. It just could have had a little bit of action in it and what have you, but just didn't pull much of that off, though, which that was kind of my downside with the film. But overall, I found Hitman to be pretty fun and what have you. The film recently came to Netflix, as I've already said, and I think this would be worth looking into. So Hitman is a pretty fun film. So for my score, I am also going to give Hitman 4 stars. But on a scale of 1 to 10, I give it an 8.5. It's a fun-filled, but it is a fun-filled film, though. I think you might want to give this a look into. Alright, now for number 3, the final mini review in this vid. And it's another Netflix film, a brand new one. And the final film that's giving me review is the just now released Trigger Warning, a new action thriller directed by Mule Surya, if I mispronounced that name, I apologize, in her English language film debut. Written by John Brancato, Josh Olson, and Hallie Gross. Film is from Netflix and produced along with Lady Spitfire and Thunder Road Films, who of course was the studio responsible for producing the John Wick franchise. The film stars Jessica Alba along with Anthony Michael Hall. The film follows a special forces officer, a skilled one that is, who takes ownership of her father's bar shortly after he dies, and soon finds herself at odds with a violent gang running rampant in her hometown. Now, it starts in the town of Creation, where the Swan family are involved in illegal arms trade and leverage their influence in the town to cover themselves. Ezekiel Swan is the senator, Jesse, his older son, is the sheriff, and Elvis, his younger son, is the arms dealer. Elvis has been using Harry's mind to take weapons from a military depot, and they manage to access an underground tunnel and start secretly funneling weapons out to sell them to arms dealers. When Harry finds out, he's killed, and they blame it on a mine collapse. Things get complicated when Jesse calls Harry's daughter, Parker, his ex, and informs her of Harry's accidental death, motivating her to come home. So, she begins to notice Elvis's use of the machine gun and people snooping into her family property, since she's a highly skilled military combatant and investigator. But anyway, but once Elvis's men burn down Harry's bar, which is called Maria's, down to the ground, Parker gives chase and attacks the arsonist, but ends up arrested. But soon she breaks out and manages to get into the action. This is kind of like First Blood all over again, except with a woman. This film, unfortunately, has been getting bad reviews, just like Atlas did not so long ago. This film sits at a mere 20%, and criticisms over the acting, dialogue, and directing. The Guardian Benjamin Lee says it's not quite enough to push the film to genuinely smart or noteworthy territory, but adds some punchy alleging your anger to Alba's inevitable and involving revenge mission. Yes, I agree. I will say that Jessica Alba really is good and what have you. IGN's Jesse Hassinger wrote, it matches together three different types of pulpy thrillers, but it sometimes feels as if the Jessica Alba vehicle isn't borrowing to actually take the best part of what's ripping off. Brian Lowry of CNN wrote, the film might not be packing anything unexpected in the chamber, but for those who come to it with a proper mindset, the movie doesn't wind up firing blanks either. Well, true, and I will say it's good and what have you, but it does have issues though. I wish it could have just had a little more fun action bits. It did have some pretty good ones, but just not enough to entertain me much. But I will say I kind of like this. This was a little bit better than Atlas was. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we have Jessica Alba playing Parker. Believe me, it's been years since I last saw something with that gal in. Ever since I was introduced to her by seeing her in Never Been Kissed and Idle Hands. Yeah, incredible. Anthony Michael Hall plays Ezekiel Swan. Yeah, that's really something. Mark Webber is in this, and I thought this guy looked familiar. Of course, I remember from movies like Drive Me Crazy and Snow Day. Let's see, as well as Scott Pilgrim versus the World and Green Room. He plays the role of Jesse. Yeah, he's good. But anyway, those are the only few actors I am familiar with and what have you. And Elvis Swan is played by Jake Weary, who, of course, most people knew him from TNT's recent hit drama series Animal Kingdom. He also appeared on As the World Turns, as well as Chicago Fire, as well as It Follows and It Chapter 2. So I'm gonna say these actors, they all did fine in my view. But like I said, Trigger Warning is factually a mixed bag for me and what have you. But still, Maybe not quite as good as the Rambo films, though, but it tries to do its extreme best, though. I should point out all the movies had some pretty decent soundtracks. I didn't stop to think about bringing those up, but I will say they all had good ones. Trigger Warning had a good one too. So overall, Trigger Warning's an okay film. I liked it a little, but not a whole lot though. For my score, I give Trigger Warning 3.5 stars. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give it I'll give it a 7. So that's going to do for this mini reviews vid. Have you ever seen any of these three movies? Have you ever seen Monkey Man, Hitman, or Trigger Warning? Or maybe if you've seen all three of them, let me know what you thought about these films, or maybe one of these if you've seen them. Leave a message for me in the comment section below. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, and be a part of the Big D Nation. Continue to help support my channel, make it grow, and make the views grow, please. And next time I'll be bringing to you a review of Big Trouble in Little China. So if you like this, consider checking out some of these recent films. In the upper left-hand corner is my spoiler-free review of John Wick Chapter 4 from last year. The upper right-hand corner is my spoiler-free review of a recent Netflix film that was from not so long ago that I've already mentioned, Atlas. Or if you would like, go to the bottom left hand corner and see my latest spoiler free review on the film The Bike Riders. And the bottom right hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.